Hi, everybody. Sylvia here from Walkabout Canine Consulting, and it's week 3. So thanks for sticking with me. I know it's a nice day, so some of you might be outside enjoying instead of staying inside and watching, but that's okay. And I want to make sure that everything's addressed and clear. That's what the Facebook group is for. So please check that. The recordings are being posted on the Facebook page as well as some extras. And it's definitely a place where we want to ask our questions. We had a great question yesterday. And so we're on week 3. I'm just going to review some of the things that we talked about in the first couple of weeks. So in the beginning, I talked about ditching the bowl. There's a handout about that. And simply, this is about using our dog's daily calories that they need for training. And the more that we incorporate it into our training programs, the easy it's much easier for them to work for plain kibble. I know some dogs aren't as into working their food, and we certainly can use toys instead. Oops, I missed a word here. I also talked about ditching the walk. And that was about, if you're walking and your dog is always pulling in that location, then you want to think about working through your focus, your engagement, and your proximity so that your dog does want to stay engaged with you. You want to have that connection. And, it might just mean that you change where you walk so that you get more of that. Sometimes busy streets are just that, too busy for our dog. That can definitely be so for our younger dogs. So there's lots of distractions there. And it does make it harder to learn. So it does for any of us, if we think about it. So we do want to make sure that we're creating that connection when we have our dogs on a walk, because if they're not connected to us, they are likely going to pull. And we want to create that clarity, and we want to remember to reward great choices. We sometimes, forget to do that. And you want to get into the habit of, your dog rewarding those great choices. And it's not just on the walk, it's other times as well. So we can do this inside the house, in our backyard. We also want to make sure that our dog is confident in the environment that we are taking them. I did mention that, sometimes walking on a busy street is just too much. It can be overwhelming. We may have a dog that's not confident enough, or it's just too overwhelming and they are so distracted that they can't think. So when you add stress, good stress, bad stress, distractions, that's how the brain works. And also making sure that you are absolutely clear to your dog in regards to what you want from them. And we talked about focus being a foundation exercise. If you don't have focus exercises with your dog, you're gonna have a hard time with everything else, because it really is a foundation exercise, and it's so easy to do. I give you some really great games to play, and you can play these everywhere. You can play them, if you go out on a walk. I still do, and my dogs love it. It's like, woohoo, we're playing a game. And it really is a core concept. I can't stress that enough. We played the focus exercise, food on the ground, they look up. So you want to keep doing that. Like I say, you can practice that everywhere and anywhere. We played giving into leash pressure, okay, where once they feel a little bit of pressure that they want to come along with us. We add our proximity games where we're reinforcing our dogs to follow us. So this is a review, and just reviewing from the first couple of weeks, just to remind you, and you can always rewatch them. And I did post a video, even though I demoed it in the first week. It wasn't it was brand new. And I do like to set up the A to B as I showed in the video. There's no sound, but I think the visual is good in regards to A to B. And that's just a quick way for us to be able to turn around, and our dog wants to turn and move away with us. So some people call it a U-turn, and there's a little bit of leash action that goes along with that. We played the back and forth game, and just keep it short. We can make it really exciting for our dogs to come along with us. So this was just a reminder about the community. And okay, so yeah, so we also talked about, this was in week 2. So be engaging. Sometimes it's nice to be engaging before we start our walk. It's nice to get into the habit of doing some of these things. They are really effective. Anything that reinforces proximity is going to be great for your dog. Okay. So if you take a step away and your dog takes a step towards you, that's proximity, and you want to reinforce the heck out of that. So don't be afraid to give more than one piece of kibble. And that is following the rules of reinforcement, where we are giving a big size. Okay. So size of the reinforcer. So instead of giving a big cookie, we're giving it in 3 little doses. By me, so that's simply just getting our dogs right beside us. And you can teach both sides if you like. Some people just like one side. There's no right or wrong side to walk your dog on. That is entirely up to you, unless you're going into the obedience ring. Then I think they still want the left side. The other thing too is catch. Now, that's a really cool game to add to our dog. We got a dog on the loose here. So that they are catching treats. So that makes us engaging as well. And if your dog doesn't know how to catch, I encourage you to do so. Again, this is just another great activity that I do like to take on the road with me. And, if I'm walking my dogs, I'll stop and play some catch. It might only be a couple, oh dear, a couple of catches. It doesn't have to be a lot. So, okay, where did she pull this out of? Oh. Okay, anyways, Eve's on the loose. I don't have. Hey, Eve. I'm pretty sure you're not supposed to be working on the buffet. Okay, so we'll just continue with just the review. So middle, which is a really fun game. If you're too short for your dog, that's okay. You don't have to do that. You can just simply do by me. And you can also, you can also do thunder, which is throwing between the legs. So if you miss that, you can watch that on the replay from week 2. And even scatter feeding right in front of you. And that is simply just throwing down some kibble right in front of you so that you are creating some proximity. Good. For being right in front of you. We talked about leash on, leash off, so that putting the leash on and off is not a cue for our dogs to take off. So practicing those, rewarding. So when the leash is off, giving big reinforcer, 1, 2, 3, putting the leash on, 1, 2, 3, and so that it's not the leash, hearing the leash isn't the signal for poof, taking off, okay? We did the orientation game or the back and forth. We're, throwing the treats out and our dog's coming back to us. We can even deliver more reinforcers when they come back to us, but they're learning to traveling towards us is a good thing. It's also one of my recall games that I like to play. And the 1 step, 2 step. So practicing with your dog taking 1 step with you, you can ask them to sit. It's not an absolute not an absolute necessity, but if you have a really strong puller, I do find adding the sit. So obviously your dog needs to understand the cue, so that you get them to sit. What happens is they start anticipating you asking for the sit, so it does help them slow down and refocus on you. When I'm starting this, the 1 step and adding 2 steps and adding 3 steps, I am giving lots of reinforcers when my dog sits, okay? Giving the big reinforcer, so instead, like I say, rules of reinforcement size. So it doesn't mean I'm gonna give a big reinforcer because I really don't want my dog spending a lot of time chewing, but I am going to give 1, 2, 3. So I've built a little bit of self-control because the dog knows it's getting 3 treats when we stop. Okay. And always rewarding the choice to move with us. Okay. So there we go. Okay. So I'm going to show you a figure of 8 pattern. And I like this game because I don't necessarily have to use food here. And it is nice to be able to, not always use food. I definitely reinforcements build behavior. Got the t-shirt that says so. And, but it is nice to be able to use a pattern. It helps create a lot of focus for us. And because it's a pattern, our dogs do need to focus on us better. You can practice this if you want. If you have cones, I just pretend I've got a figure 8 in front of me. When I'm working with clients, we just pretend there's a figure of 8 on the road. So it helps to slow down our dogs as well. And it's also a really great way to teach speeds, because once our dog gets and understands the concept of the figure of 8, you can start going slow, medium, fast. And it's one of those fun games to actually teach high arousal, which is walking really, really fast and then slowing down. So without further ado, I need to pin. Okay. And see a wagon butt there. Okay. Right. Okay. So it's pretty easy to do, and all you're doing is walking in a figure of 8. And I'm not able to make the big figure of 8, but we decided to work inside today just to stay out of the sun. It's not hot for us humans, but it is hot for us. So you see, she's having to pay attention to me. I am going to keep the leash short. and I'm making the curves. And I'm just going sort of a normal pace. Well, for me anyway, I have short legs. And that is often a conflict between dogs and people, is sometimes dogs can walk, come on, faster, come on. Sorry, we've got a cat distracting us. Come on. Good job. Good job. What a good girl. What a good girl. Okay. And just to review the back and forth, good job. This was the back and forth game with no reinforcers. So if they end up pulling, now she's following me. I have nothing in my hand. So if we walk and they pull, we just walk the other way. Good. Good. I'm gonna give her to you. So that is the figure of 8. And that's a really, really helpful tool. I don't know if I'm going to show you a different pattern game. I'll do it with her. I don't think I showed you this. So if you're so the pattern game is great if you've got really great distraction, really big pullers. I've had some dogs, like street dogs and owners, they take them for a walk and the dog just wants to run. So they think, okay, I'll just run with you. And it's like, no, because now they're teaching them to want to run down the street. So that's really helpful for that. And so I've worked in some shelters with some dogs that are used to running free. I'll call them street dogs. And they've had to be used to living or used to walking on a leash. And sometimes even they're not wild, but they seem wild. And I'll show you a tactic. It's not in the class, but I'll show you this. It is really effective. And sometimes this does need lots and lots of repetition. It is something that I will use food for. So you can be walking backwards, backwards, backwards. Good. So you're walking backwards, backwards. Then you go forwards. She's not focusing on me. So I'm going to keep walking backwards, backwards, backwards. Now forwards, good. And I might only go forwards 1 foot, backwards, backwards. And really you want to turn good. Like that. So we're going to walk backwards, backwards, backwards. I'm going to turn. Okay. So I'll do it one more time. Okay. So I'll walk backwards, 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 and then I turn around and deliver the treat. Okay. And she was picking up on that pretty quickly. So anybody have any questions about that? It's probably my most favorite for absolute wild dogs. Eve isn't wild, but I've had some dogs that, what's that? Yeah, we don't need a wild one. Okay, so any questions about that? All right. So that's a pattern game. So patterns are really cool to add into walking. And they're pretty easy to do. You can do them pretty much anywhere. You can even do them on the sidewalk. I've done them on pathways in the forest, and yeah, it is really helpful for gaining that focus. And then they have no other choice but to slow down. So lots of games and picking and choosing what's helpful for you, what's going to work. And they all work really well. Like I say, picking and choosing what you feel comfortable with. I have to say, if I'm working one particular dog, I'm going to look and see which one is going to get me success. And the dog gets it. And that's what I'm going to go with. If I've got a, if I'm in an area that's really distracting, then I need to choose something that's going to give me more focus, which might be the pattern game. Even if a dog isn't really a puller, but if they're really distracted by smells, like my example of, just walking in the forest, which can be a big distraction for some dogs with all the smells, where the pattern game does get them refocused on you and teaches them to slow down. Okay. Look at that. I have so this is my figure of 8. I'm just going to pass through because the sound is horrible. These are my early video days. Okay, so I'm going to try and do, so I'm just trying to do a figure of 8. I'm actually right now I'm doing some pace walking, which can be helpful to get things started as well. So it's very rhythmic. So I am slowing. This is my dog, so he's getting slowed down. As you see, he's waiting for action. So this is another game. I've got so many games, but the pacing is nice. So it does have to be quite rhythmic. And we're all pretty rhythmic beings, which is why it is very calming. So this might be something that I start off with as well. I have started off with wild labs, even wilder than naive. And you basically just want to see your dog calming down when you're doing this pacing. I have actually, it's really helpful. I mean, I've had a dog trying to bite my stomach because he's so hyper, and we just start doing this and grabbing my bait bag and then still biting my stomach and my t-shirt. And this just calms them right down. So now I'm doing the figure of 8 walking. Okay. So I'm not using any cones or anything. I'm just doing an imaginary figure of 8. And I'm trying to walk slow. This is one of my dogs who can be, get quite hyper. And then I can start going fast. And this is going to be arousing for this dog because running is arousing. But then I slow it down right away, just to show him the switch, which is nice to teach dogs, the shifting of gears. Yeah, so you can go slow, medium, fast. I mean, this isn't really an old concept for those of us that have been doing obedience training for a long time. But, using the patterns are really, really helpful. Okay. So hopefully that's the next thing, if you have not taught your dog a collar grab, we've done given into leash pressure, but collar grabs are really helpful. Sometimes we start this with puppies, but we don't continue. And we may need to do that when we're on the road with our dog. I meant to get some video of one of my dogs. I say, "Can I get your collar?" And she just gives me her collar. But this is helpful too when you're leashing and unleashing, so that your dog is learning, that by touching the collar and reaching over and putting the leash on, that it's a good thing. Some dogs get a little suspicious about putting the leash on. So, touching the collar, good, and giving them the treat is a great way to start. Even slowly putting a little bit of pressure. You want to start very gently at first. It should always be positive. And then if you put a little bit of pressure on and you're starting to give treats, they say, "I'm going to go for it." And I'm going to see if Miss Eve is going to like this game. I actually have, she's working for kibble, but I brought a little bit of dehydrated round steak. It's really thin. So I'm going to do it sitting down instead of bending over. Not that she should mind. What? You want to do it sit down? No, I'll just do it right here. I'll just do it right here. Yeah. Hi. Good. And I'm always going to mark good. And you see, she's going, "What are you doing?" Yes, I got good stuff there. Good. I'm going to switch hands. So she says, "Where is the stuff?" Good. So I want to make sure that I mark it when I touch. Good. Good. And I might start calling, "Where's your collar?" Yeah, good job. Where's your collar? Yeah, good job. Where's your collar? Yes. Okay, so she's getting a little excited. Ouch. So Will. Okay. Oh, you like this stuff, do you? So let's see if she can focus. Let's go to focus. Good. Good job. There we go. Okay. So it's nice to add in the collar grabs because that's all part of, starting our walks. Okay, so this is another pattern that you can incorporate into walks, and that is just walking in a square. And what we can do with this one is to create some focus is putting the treat on the ground. Okay. This is nice for if we're in a bit of distracting area, because just by picking up the treat on the ground is going to be, taking their focus away from what might be distracting in the environment. And again, you're always going to look at, making sure you're pairing your reinforcer for the right job. So as you saw, I used something that was probably higher value than I needed for the collar grab with Eve. So then, now she knows I have it, but still, I probably didn't need it for that exercise because she's quite happy to work for kibble. And sometimes when we're using, if we're using high value food that's making our dogs like, I'm crazy, it doesn't, are they learning? or all they are doing is focusing on the treat. And that's not how reinforcement training is supposed to work. So it's them actually learning and then they get reinforced. Okay, so let's see if she can do this. Okay. Right. Hi. So I'm used to walking my dogs on the right side. So we'll start off with this square. And good. So it also slows them down. Good. 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 So now she's anticipating, which is good. So she's trying to crowd me. Good. So I'm just going to deliver the treats to my side. And this crowding is, she's waiting to get the reinforcements here. So this is just a little bit of troubleshooting. I'm just going to take a foot back. And I want her, so I still got the steak, so she's getting pretty excited. That's right. I want her to know that she's getting it here. Good. Good. Just a little bit of troubleshooting with that. Good. 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 There we go. And that is a square pattern. So just a different pattern. What do you think, little girl? All right, any questions about that? No. All right, let's see what else I have to share with you today. Okay. Cavaletti is another thing that you can play around with. Obviously, you're not going to take these on walks, but it does help a dog learn to focus while moving. And I didn't bring Cavaletti. I brought 2 poles, which, you know, it's up to you what you use. The whole concept of them stepping over and paying attention, and some of our horse people are really into using Cavalettis, slowing horses down, building proprioception, which is that mind and body connection. I like to do this. Actually, I'll show you. One of my friends shared, she does this a lot with her dogs. I will play this in the backyard, and I will also play this inside the house if, you know, winter weather kind of thing, because it uses up a lot of mental energy as well, because we've got the dog thinking about their movement. It is a nice activity to do. So I'll show you my friend Carolina. So she's got a couple of bullies, and she's got a little room that she has set up. So she does have this sped up. So this is her one dog using the Cavalettis, and it's just back and forth. Okay. You do want to make sure that they're not too high for the breed. Starting with them on the ground is a good place to start, and never really want it. I mean, I'm not a physio person, but a lot of times when you get if you buy Cavaletti, all the equipment together, they usually explain you want to have a measurement from the ground to the dog's shoulder, but you do want to start with the poles on the ground, which Carolina would have done here. But this does use, a lot of energy and helps build some focus. It helps, with them actually learning to move their feet nicer. So really nice for puppies. And then this is her doing it with her other dog. So, like I say, she actually does this quite a bit. She does work like full time, and I think she's got like a 45-minute drive home. She does a lot with her dogs, but this is an activity that is her go-to if she wants to give her dogs something physical, like a really good balance. She does this. Like I say, I probably haven't played it this year at all, to be honest, because I set things up and then my husband comes and he goes, does this have to be here? I need a designated room. I have a couple of posts. I didn't bring my Cavalettis per se, but I do have a couple of metal. I have some tape at the end so that they hopefully don't roll. I'm just going to put 2, and I'm going to see how she does with this. Actually, she did do some Cavalettis when she was a pup for her training for the commercial. So because we needed her to, learn over and under? Yeah, the under, I remember absolutely. And then we weren't sure if she needed over as well. So I used the Cavalettis to teach her what over was. I don't think she actually ended up doing anything over in the commercial, but anyway. So I just have the two, and let's see. Yeah, sure. What's that? Oh, are they gonna roll? Come here. And you do have to have them spaced out a good amount. Good girl. Good girl. I don't know. I used the other ones, the blue one. Okay, well, you remembered middle. And we'll just go with the middle. Get it? Yeah. Sit. Thank you. And if you have a hand target, come on. Good. Good job. So she's focusing on my food hand, which I don't want to build that. Okay. Come on. Good. So these are just 2. Good. 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 She does remember her hand target. She learned that as a puppy. Good. So you see how hand targets are very helpful. Good. We're getting our dogs to move around. So although that's not part of our walk, it can be a replacement for your walk. It can be an activity that builds more focus, more mind and body connection, which it took me a long time to learn proprioception. So the brains have to think a little bit about that. If you have, you can use just broomsticks, and if you want makeshift, you know, instead of buying a cavaletti, if it's something you want to try. If you have, these were just metal poles, I had to put tape at the end, but if I wanted to make it so that they didn't move at all, you can just take empty pop can, soda can, whatever you call it, and crush it in the middle and put the post in the divot so that they don't move. So you can add just the two, and then you can keep adding to that. You can also create patterns. If any of you have watched any kind of horse work, you will see sometimes they have, you know, them set up as a pattern with different turns. And again, that's just another pattern game that you can use. I'm not demoing it here, but it is just another add on to that. And okay, so this is kind of a bonus game, and this is called Magic Hand. So similar but different to catch. And catch, I call my dogs, I'm standing in front of my dog, and my dog's facing me, and I throw the treat and they catch, which she needs to learn that. And the other one is Magic Hand. And the reason it's called Magic Hand is when the hand comes out, you condition it to mean treats are falling. So it becomes magic. My dogs love this, and I can use this on our walks. I've actually used Magic Hand for Liam, who even as a puppy was very distracted walking. So I did a couple of different pattern games, and I always added in some Magic Hand. It's something that I still can do if I need to get my dogs past a distraction that is problematic for them. So hopefully this video that has been put together will show it. We definitely, again, it's just another focus exercise. It's fun, you know, and you do start with doing catch, which, you know, as you see, for some dogs, it is a skill. And then what I do, as you see here, I'm just conditioning my hand very closely to mean treats are coming. Okay, so these are just the little steps that you want to start with. So my hand is out and I'm just delivering it to hand. So now it's becoming a little stronger, where I'm dropping them from my hand. My dog is looking up. I've got a little dog, so he's got a long way to look up. One caveat that I will say, if the sun's shining in their eyes, they may miss some. It's really helpful to start with bigger pieces of kibble, or I use Charlie Bears because they are bigger and easier for our dogs to see, especially if we have a younger dog who's, you know, they're not really good at focusing quite yet. So I use this everywhere. I use it as a walking tool. So we're just practicing some hand conditioning here. I'm just standing still with my dog, catching. And that's essentially what you want to do, is you want to start standing still. I can start moving around, and my dog, as you see, this is Emma, and she's like, there's that Magic Hand, and she wants to follow it. So I can use it. She's got to make sure there's no treats that fell, because I do have a bad habit of dropping treats. I can put out an empty hand now, and my dogs will, like, there's that Magic Hand. So my hand has been conditioned to be something cool. Doesn't mean that they still don't get reinforced from time to time, but they can, they see the hand and they're right beside me. And now, you know, as your dog progresses, like I tell people, I can show you the procedure. I can't give you an exact number or how long your dog's going to learn this. It took Emma, it didn't take her long to learn how to catch from the hand. It took Liam a little bit longer, but we just kept practicing. And when he got it, you know, it was a party. And he still sometimes misses because he gets a little overexcited. But I am careful about, you know, the sun in their eyes as well. So this is my friend Carolina. She's doing a little bit of magic hand in her yard with her dog. So there you have an example. I'm not going to do it with Eve because she doesn't know it. And although we could practice a little bit of catching here. I think that was the last game. So let's see if she does know or can figure it out. So I'm going to use bigger pieces of kibble for this, just because hopefully they're big enough. Sometimes the smaller ones are just too hard. And if it's a really young dog, it's even harder for the babies to see that well yet. So, right? She doesn't need a leash. Here. So I'm gonna just show her, so she wants to grab my hand. It's not about grabbing the hand. And she can start this sitting. And when you start this, I always tell owners to start it. Okay. Yes. Okay. And I'm not considering this a failure at all. It's wait till she's ready. Okay, so she's not got the gist of it, and I'm okay with that. I may just take 6 or 8 treats and play this game. So you can't have what's in there. Here. Okay. See? Okay. So she's not got the gist of it yet, and if it falls in their face, it falls in their face. Okay. So I don't understand what you want to do. Here. Eve? Eve?
She's had a lot of treats now.
Yeah, I know she has. Okay, we're gonna let her go. So like I say, I usually start with 6 to 8 treats. You want to do more? She says, I want to do more. Maybe I want to do more. Hey, see what I got there? So she doesn't understand the catching part at all, because she's never ever done it. And just because she's a dog doesn't mean that she knows how to catch. Yeah, so I would just do this a couple times a day. And like I say, just count out 6 or 8 treats, because if you try and do more, you'll just get And and that session doesn't have to be successful. She didn't catch any of them, and I'm okay with that. And over a number of days, she may start catching one. And then, especially if you make a big party about catching it, and then she'll start doing more and more. And that's how it progresses. So I've had lots of people, but now I can't do this. And they can. You just have to be patient. So that's a really cool exercise to practice. So I want to thank everybody for coming. I am going to do another webinar, and it's called Boundaries a Go-Go and Doorways are a No-No. So we're going to talk about boundary training and how boundary training can help us with door rushing, which is, I hear a lot of clients that have an issue with that. So we are going to work with either, we might work with Eve, and we might work with 2 dogs. So we'll work with Eve, who is completely inexperienced. And then we will work with, I think, Hope. And Hope, she will remember this. She's my little training buddy. And we've done a few things together, although I haven't done much with her lately, but I'm pretty sure she still knows her boundaries. And yeah, so that's going to be a 2-hour webinar next Saturday. And yeah, so hopefully you can join us. It'll be fun. And any questions? Otherwise, I think we're done a little bit early. And thank you very much for participating and joining. And hopefully I have been able to give you some golden nuggets that will help you with some leash walking.
Do you have a reference on training with cavalettis? Like, I have a bunch of poles and I have various ways to add height to them, but I don't know how to do it properly.
Yeah, some of the conditioning, that's why I said, like, sometimes the cavalettis come with instructions. I know that I'll look them up, because there's a couple of conditioning groups that I have been in that show that. So I'll post them in the group for sure.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah. So, and obviously it depends on the size of the dog too. I was going to share one of my Cavaletti videos, and I watched it back and I'm going, oh wow, because I did a video with Liam, and this is a little bit old. This is from one of my healing class that I took, and they use the Cavalettis as a build-up exercise. And Liam, my border terrier, which he's always done since he was a puppy, so he has some hind end, some weird stuff going on. He likes to hop with both his legs, and I'm like, no, that's not what you're supposed to be doing. So I'm going to start from ground up, but I will definitely look up some resources and share them. I'm pretty sure I do have for sure one of the conditioning groups, and then one of my other learning groups, we had some fitness exercises, so I'll have a look in there.
Cool. Thanks a bunch.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for joining, Megan.
No worries. Have a great day.
Yes, you too. Take care.